Welcome to the start of a very slow, chill kind of day in the studio of Sandy Draws, or actually Sandy Allnock. Sandy Draws is just my YouTube handle. And I had been working for a couple days on a drawing of a bike in Italy, and it was coming out great. But when I sat down in the morning, I realized the night before I had been working so hard that my pen was running out. Both of my pens needed a little TLC, so I washed them both out so that I could then show you how I refill them, and then we'll get into the drawing itself in real-time footage. This is a fountain pen, and it's called an Eco by the company TWSBI. So it's TWSBI Eco. And it has a piston inside that acts kind of like a turkey baster. So I emptied all the ink, cleaned it out with water by just kind of sucking the water in like a turkey baster under the sink. And now I'm going to close it down, put it inside the ink, leave it in there, and then do the turkey baster thing and suck all that ink back up. And that's going to fill the pen, and it will draw for a really long time with that much ink. I love these pens. And the medium nib is one of my favorites. And in this Epic Sketchbook, which you might know, I'm starting on the second Epic Sketchbook by popular request. You all watched my flip through, my first video on this channel, and wanted to see some of that. So we're gonna take a different approach to this Epic Sketchbook. This pen is a Rotring isograph, and it has a nib more like a micron pen, except you can refill it. Microns you just throw out. So these can be refilled. I love that about them. Art uses a lot of materials, and we throw away a lot of things, and the less things we can throw away, the better. So with this one, you just put ink in it. You can use a dropper, or I use a pipette and fill it up. I always put it into a tissue or something so I can collect any ink, because putting that back on kind of forces air through the nib, and it will splooge out on you. But we're going to be using two different pens because I wanted two different weights of line. The isograph sometimes just needs a little shake, so I always give it a shake to start off with right after refilling it. But then we are ready to go. I'm going to start back at the beginning of the drawing, not at the point at which I was at when I stopped to refill the pens. And I started by freehand sketching from the photo that I had selected. And if you'd like a copy of that photo and you want to try drawing any part of this drawing, it's in the posts on my YouTube page. There's also a link to it if you want to get to the original photo from Unsplash. The only thing I used tools for was the wheels. I really wanted them to be perfect in this particular case. So I used a compass to do that. And I did use rulers to set at least the horizontal lines for the wall, so that part would be straight. But the rest of it, I'm just kind of going for it freehand, not freehand. I'm tracing over my own sketch, but I'm not using rulers and things is what I mean. This sketchbook, when I bought a second one of these, the first one, I had called it an Epic Sketchbook because all of the pictures that were drawn in it, and you can see a bunch of them in that video, most of them were drawn on site. So they were all sketched on location, which meant I was working really quickly. They were very loose, and that's all wonderful and well and good. But since you wanted to see a video or two from an epic drawing like that, I knew I would be working in the studio in this particular sketchbook. So I'm going to do a series of them this year. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more of that. But in this particular case, I decided this is also going to be an epic sketchbook, but it's going to have a few other things to it. The other one was all about doing a 2-page spread of whatever scene was in front of me. This one will not always have 2 pages. This one in particular is just 1 page. And as I worked and saw how long it took, I realized a lot of them might be 1 page instead of 2 pages. We'll see. But for each one of them, I want to have a vignette of daily life, just something that is very normal. We always try to draw epic, major things that are unique and nobody's ever seen it in the world. And, like regular stuff, just a bike is something that can be epic. I mean, I can play around with figuring out how to make lines on a basket end up looking like a basket, just making them in particular patterns. This bike is one that is in Milan. That's where the photo was taken. So it's an Italian bike. It has a really strange way that the frame is set up, that the wheel covers go. Like there's just some strange things in here. And that also appealed to me. So in addition to just being scenes from everyday life, I also thought I want to do things that I've never drawn, or things that I've never drawn at this level of detail, because I want to get myself to look more specifically at the thing I'm drawing. And I don't know anything about bikes. I know bupkis about them. I don't know what any of these parts are. I don't know what they connect to, but I'm going to be looking for photos that I can work from that are very detailed so that I can really see what's going on and then start to replicate what I see. Because when we draw, the best thing you can learn if you want to get to draw better is drawing what you see, not what you think you see. And when I draw things that I don't know, that I've never drawn a bike, I don't even have a bike anymore. I'm old. I would fall off a bike nowadays. But like, since I don't know anything about bikes, I can't make it up. I can fudge some parts. There are some places in here where I wasn't going for perfection by any means. So there's a lot of looseness in here. But the structure of the bike, I'm looking at the shapes I see in the photo. I'm doing a lot of negative drawing here around things that I don't even know what they are necessarily, or trying to find things like right where the pedal connects. There's that rounded thing. I was trying to figure out how to make that look toned by varying the amounts of dashed lines around the circle. Here in the wheel, this back wheel in the photo, the top half of the wheel has more spokes in it than the bottom half. I don't know why that is. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't know why there's little connectors that go up to the cover of the wheel, but I'm drawing what I see. I'm not trying to make sense of it as much as I am trying to just see what I see. And I might learn a little bit about bike construction while I'm doing it, but my point is to not just draw things that I've always drawn, because I can draw trees till the cows come home, but I could end up making up trees because I've drawn so many trees in my lifetime. And it's not that I'll never draw a tree in this particular sketchbook either, but in this particular one, I want to focus on those specific kinds of things. Something that's everyday life, something I've never drawn, and something that has a lot of detail and different textures in it. Because I really want to play with texture a lot. I just enjoy trying to figure out how to make that in black and white. And it, I hope, is going to translate to all my other mediums as well, as I learn in a medium that is so on and off. Pen is either black or it's white. And the only way to make transitions in value or different types of texture is how you apply that line. What kind of line is it? How close is it to the line next to it? And, is it straight? Is it wiggly? Is it curved? Is it an arc? Like what do those lines individually look like, and how do they work together? So that's kind of the plan for this book. And if you are, somebody like me who trolls around on Unsplash to try to find things, let me know if you find something that suits my general criteria for this sketchbook, because I'd love to see if I could do some more drawings on this channel, because I do love me some pen and ink. I love all sorts of drawing, and I will be doing lots of different mediums too, but pen and ink is just a fun one. And this drawing took me, because I know people will ask, I think it was 2.5 days. That is much longer than my previous Epic Sketchbook, because as I said, those were all drawn on site. usually in about an hour. There were some that I ended up adding an ink wash to when I got home, but most of those were drawn on site and had to be done quickly because I was often with a group of sketchers and we were, going to be leaving together and going for lunch. And I don't miss lunch. I might miss a lot of things, but I'm not going to miss lunch to stay and finish a sketch. One of the other things that I explore in all of my work, whether, you know, it's an Epic Sketchbook or anything else, is light and shadow. This photo also had amazing shadows from the bike that hit the ground. There were some really fun shadows that went along the wall. The ones on the ground I could make nice and dark and rich and black. But once I got past this point was when I knew that the other pen was going to have to come out because I couldn't make the same kind of details that I wanted by just using that one big pen, because if that pen was that big, it wasn't going to make different textures that would be differentiated from the rest of the lines I already have drawn. So I've switched over to the Rotring pen, and you can see the difference in the size of the nib. And of course, this is what took forever. The bike was not so bad, but the shadows were crazy. This particular shadow that comes from the basket down onto the wall was the coolest shadow. It has like some holes from the basket that make a pattern, and the pattern is behind the bike, behind the spokes, and it's on a curve, but there's some parts that are straight. I mean, it was kind of crazy, and it just made me happy to sit and make all these dots. I'm using stippling for a couple of reasons. One is that I want a little bit of wall texture, and I was going to do a lot of the other shading on the wall in stippling too, because the bottom section of it is kind of a, I don't know, stucco-ish kind of thing. But I also knew I could get into this kind of detail if I did stippling. And if I did line work, even with a thinner pen, it's going to conflict with everything that's there. So I needed something where those spokes of the bike and the outline of the bike were still going to show up against it. And with stippling, you have a lot of control. As long as you have a lot of time and a lot of patience, you have a lot of control over what that looks like. You can even alter how much of the pen goes right next to some of the spokes. So if you want to leave a highlight, you can do that. I didn't fuss over it quite that much, but I did want to film clips of this drawing at real-time speed so you can see this is the speed at which I draw. This is not sped up whatsoever. So if you draw slower, then that's totally fine too. I wouldn't recommend speeding up with stippling all that much. There is a stipple paper, and you could do something like this on the stipple paper, but there were a lot of reasons why this drawing actually wouldn't work on that paper as easily. But I'll have to use that stipple paper sometime soon because this channel with new subscribers on it may not know about it because I have stipple paper videos on my other channel, my OG big channel. And if you want to see more of that kind of stuff, then you can go over to Sandy Allnock's Art Venture. That is the OG channel, and it's one that has just recovered from a vacation because I had a big hack. The channel was taken down for about a week. I was in a panic, but everything's back now. So you're welcome to go do some searches over there, especially if you want the stipple paper stuff. That's over there. It's more for pencil than it is for pen. You can do some pen stuff on it, but it's not really meant for using a pen. But this was lots of patience, much, much, much patience. I did sit at my desk for quite a long while working on this wall. But when it came to doing the bricks in the background, I went to a more comfortable location. I went and sat on the sofa and was watching movies with my dogs and cuddling, so there was not footage of those bricks, but I will be using the brick technique in a future video, so subscribe if you want to see that sometime. But You can see the bricks have a hash pattern in them, hash marks, like 3 or 4 hash marks that go different directions, and then they come together to make a brick. But that's all negative drawing with the pattern in it. Now, the basket on this bicycle didn't have anything in it. And while I was working on all those bricks, part of me was thinking, can I put something up here that will take up that real estate so that I don't have to finish drawing all these little bricks? And I decided to put a few things in the basket as if this person in Italy is doing shopping errands or something. So I threw some books in there and looked up some book titles that I can put in Italian. I did some fruit and produce and things in a like a cloth bag so that they can go home and have their dinner and that sort of thing, and proceeded to finish putting in the rest of the bricks right up to that. And of course, my camera was not set up right, so we only get to see the shading of the fruit and the vegetables. So I had done those in the heavier pen, the medium nib pen, and then I did the shading on them in the fine pen, this very small nib, so that I could get some different textures in them. And I didn't really draw anything super carefully here. It was a very small area. I just drew some blobbies that would feel like maybe different kinds of vegetables, and then just put some shading on them so that they would look like things in a shopping bag. And was, getting close to the end here, and I put a little treat into the drawing. And I think that might be another thing I'll end up doing in these drawings, is hiding something within the drawing. Because I think that's kind of a fun idea. When somebody does that and they say there's something hidden in there, I'm always like zooming in. I want to see what they hid. And I'm thinking it's going to be little animals hiding in various places. So as I was working on this, I was thinking, okay, like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to put it? What am I going to, what kind of thing will it be? Where will it hide? I almost put a mouse in a little crack in the wall, and then my pen got a little carried away, so I couldn't do that. But I still had a little room in the basket. So I decided that I would add a very, very sleepy little kitten in the basket. So sleepy that this kitten stayed in the basket having a nap while the owner went to do whatever errand they were doing. And so the little kitty is just going to be sitting there peeking out of the basket, sitting there with the books and the food and all that stuff, just hanging out. Now there's some guy that I remember seeing on Instagram who actually takes his kitty on bike rides. Like, his cat loves going on bike rides, and he does these epic bike rides with a cat in the basket. And he even has like a special basket built so that it's got a little window thing for the cat so it doesn't fall out. He can do really epic treks without the cat being in danger. It's kind of nuts. But this one's just going to be a kitty that's deciding to take a nap in the basket. So if you have suggestions for other scenes that I could do and other little hidden treasures, I want to make them not obvious things. So don't tell me something super obvious. I want something that's going to be a little unexpected treat that I can hide in the drawings. So this one has so many different types of lines in it. I really enjoyed the process of this. It did take a long time. So if you're going to do something like this, just plan to spend plenty of time doing it. But boy, is it fun. I really, really like this. So let me know what you think. Is there a particular technique in here that I should use on the next one so I can go through it a little more slowly to show you? And that's about it for today. Make sure you're subscribed, because I'll be back next Tuesday with more art fun, and we'll do some more drawing. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.